Mario Draghi has spoken many times about Europe's future, but this time in Oviedo, Spain, his words felt different. They carried the weight of warning, even prophecy. The European Union, he said, is struggling to respond to the changing world order. For those who have followed Draghi's long career, from saving the euro as president of the European Central Bank to guiding Italy through the pandemic, this was not the language of ambition. It was the language of alarm. He was saying what many in Brussels whisper, but rarely admit in public, that Europe's political machinery is not fit for the century it has entered. He reminded his audience that Europe built its post-war prosperity on openness, trade, and multilateral cooperation. That model, he said, is collapsing. Protectionism is spreading. Globalization is fragmenting. Hard military power has returned as the main currency of influence. And yet, Europe still moves as if the world were frozen in '92, when the Maastricht Treaty promised eternal peace and expanding markets. Draghi's message was simple. Europe cannot navigate today's storms with yesterday's institutions. For years, the European Union has struggled to make even modest reforms. Every major decision requires unanimity, 27 signatures from governments with different histories, languages, and political interests. One country can block progress for all. This structure, Draghi said, has not changed for many years, and the Europe that exists today simply cannot meet such demands. That was his diagnosis. His remedy is what he calls pragmatic federalism. Unlike the grand dreams of a United States of Europe, this is not about creating a single superstate. Draghi's vision is more flexible, more realistic, and more urgent. He wants Europe to evolve into a community of willing nations moving together on shared strategic priorities: defense, technology, energy, migration, competitiveness. Those who are ready should move forward. Those who are not can join later. It is a Europe of multiple speeds, but with a single direction. This approach would not be entirely new. The Eurozone itself began as a coalition of the willing. The Schengen passport-free area, the European Defence Fund, the Next Generation EU Recovery Programme. All were created by groups of states that refused to wait for everyone to agree. Draghi's idea is to turn these exceptions into a principle, to make flexibility the foundation of European progress. It is a bold vision, because for it to work, the national veto must go. The veto power is the core of Europe's paralysis. It allows any one government to block policies that the rest of the Union supports. It has been used to stall sanctions, delay defence projects, and even to bargain for unrelated concessions. It is the weapon of small states afraid of being ignored, and of populist leaders who see Europe as a stage for national drama. But as Draghi sees it, the price of keeping the veto is the slow suffocation of the European project itself. In a world of fast-moving powers, a continent that cannot decide will soon find decisions made for it. Ending the veto would be revolutionary. It would mean replacing fragile unanimity with qualified majority voting, so that most can move forward even if a few resist. Smaller states fear that such change would silence their voices. But Draghi's model promises the opposite: participation by choice, not coercion. The goal is not uniformity, it is coherence. Imagine, for example, a European alliance focused on semiconductor production, capable of competing with the United States and East Asia, or a coalition pooling defence procurement to stop the waste of 27 separate military systems. Imagine energy partnerships that finally integrate Europe's grid and drive down costs across the continent. Each of these would make Europe more sovereign, more resilient, more relevant, but they all require the same foundation: trust among governments and the courage to act together. Draghi calls it pragmatic because he knows how fragile idealism can be in Brussels. Federalism in his sense is not ideological. It is a strategy for survival. It means recognizing that Europe's power lies not in speeches or summits, but in its ability to act swiftly, collectively, and with purpose. Yet even as Draghi outlined this vision, he acknowledged the resistance it will face. The word federalism still frightens many politicians. It evokes images of lost sovereignty, of distant elites, of a Europe run by technocrats. But Draghi's version is less about control and more about capacity. It is not the end of nations. It is the rescue of Europe's voice in a world of giants. He is not alone in this thinking. French and German officials have quietly discussed new treaty revisions that would make faster decision-making possible. Some Nordic and Baltic states are warming to the idea of selective integration on defence. Even the European Commission, under Ursula von der Leyen, is beginning to speak the language of strategic autonomy. Still, Draghi's speech stands out because it comes from a man known for results, not rhetoric. When he said whatever it takes during the euro crisis, he saved the currency. Now he seems to be saying, whatever it takes, save the union. Europe has always reinvented itself in crisis. After the Second World War, it built the foundations of unity. After the fall of the Berlin Wall, it expanded eastward. After the pandemic, it issued joint debt for the first time. Now, as the world divides into competing blocs, the European project faces its next great test. Draghi's message is not about idealism or nostalgia. It is a warning that Europe's current model, 27 vetoes, 27 agendas, is unsustainable in a world defined by speed, strength, and self-interest. He believes the time has come for Europe to grow up, to act like the power it already is in economic terms, but rarely behaves as politically, to stop waiting for perfect unity and start moving with those ready to act. In his calm, almost understated way, Mario Draghi has thrown down a challenge to the entire continent. If Europe cannot change, it will fade, not through war or collapse, but through slow irrelevance. But if it dares to build this new kind of flexible federalism, it could finally become the force the world expects it to be. A Europe capable of defending its interests, shaping global rules, and speaking with one voice when it matters most. The question is whether Europe will listen to the man who once saved its currency, now urging it to save itself. Can Europe, at last, become the power it was meant to be? If you enjoyed this analysis, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, and visit westernrelations.com for more political insight from a European perspective. Thank you for watching.